my wife really wants this fireplace built right here. Okay, so I'm going to take, first step is I'm going to make this able to, in the middle down here, rather than having a power source, we have a coaxial cable. So I'm going to pull from the attic through this old coaxial, which nobody uses anymore because all our DVR receptors are wireless. So I'm going to pull this coaxial out, but that's going to allow me to have a wire to pull up through the attic. I'm going to tap into the wires that are feeding the receptacles on the other side of the wall, and I'm going to run power here. Then I'm going to drop a power box somewhere around where I want to mount my TV. Okay, so now we got our fireplace out, so I can get the dimensions of it, and we can begin to build the hearth that the fireplace is going to sit on and the mantle. So most of the time you probably wouldn't need to go this beefy, but since this is the very bottom of the project, and this will support every bit of weight that goes on top of it, I'm going to go a little hefty on it. Alright, so I've determined what the depth of the hearth is going to be. Overall, I want to get a depth of 22 inches. So I've cut my sideboards up to 19 inches with the 1.5 inch thickness of either side, doubled is 3 inches, and that will give me a total depth of 22 inches for the So now I'm going to take the box that I built and constructed with my pocket holes. Nice little box. And I'm going to cut my Baltic birch to cover it so that it wraps around this box. So now I got my box complete. This is my hearth. I've wrapped it all the way around with the Baltic birch, and I'm just kind of setting my electric fireplace up here to see where it falls. Okay, so now what we've done is I've just kind of built a skeleton box to go around the mantle so that the fireplace face can screw into this piece. I've left it open and in hopes that that is the fan that pulls the air out, that's going to leave enough room to breathe. So now I'm going to go ahead and start to screw. So now we've just framed that area in, and I'm going to use it as kind of a skeleton to attach the plywood to. I've added cross braces in the middle that later will become a shelf, and it will have faux sides, and you'll be able to open it up and you'll have a little bit of storage in that area. At this point, I'm going to finish up the inside of the shelving unit I've made into the side of the mantel, and then we're going to go ahead and cut out the cover, the face, to cover in this area. I created a template piece for railing style cope and stick joinery doors. So I set my rails first. The way I remember the rails from the styles is the rails run parallel to the wall like railroad tracks. The rails, the styles are vertical. So you want to pick your pretty side, your nice side. Your face is going to go down on the table, and then run across the bit. You can see these profiles are just what's given by the bit. Okay. And your styles all have this groove. Every piece of material has that groove profile there. But your rail cuts have the accepting piece to fit in here like so. Okay, so I've got one roughly laid out here. And it may be kind of hard to tell with contrast, but the panel's already in there. You want to leave a little freedom in that panel so that over time with wood movement it doesn't crack and bust open on you. So that's basically the look after you get everything laid out. Nice, pretty door. So now I can start glue. For my doors, I've got my clamps ready to go. These are band clamps I'm going to use for these. You always hear woodworkers talking about they need more clamps, and it may seem silly and excessive if you've never ended up in a situation like this, but now I have to glue up 4 doors at the same time. Imagine if I was doing a big cabinet project, how many more clamps I would need. So I'm going to use a few different styles of clamp to do this glue up. So when we're gluing up these doors, what we really want to do is you want to kind of get your glue inside this area as well as you can, and that's going to bond the joint to the style. You don't want to put any glue on your panel itself. You want to allow that to float in the space and move with weather conditions. I live in an extremely humid climate, so it's almost a tropical climate here. You don't think your wood moves, believe me, it's going to move. So you want to allow for that to happen over time so your doors don't crack. Since I wanted to do this real smooth look at the front of these doors, I do not want to put hardware on them to open them from the front. So the idea I have is rather than do that or even make a wooden pole, I'm going to cut a little notch out of the back side so that it allows you, when this door is closed, to kind of stick your finger around there and pull this door open and have a good way to grab a hold of it. Okay, so as you look at the front of the door, you can just see that slight void there. So that, to me, is a much better answer than trying to put a pull on here, like a drawer pull or a door knob, I guess you would say, and you're left with that little void in the back. So basically your fingers slip into that little notch and you pull the door open. So I've decided I don't like any of the trim I have. I dug through my big pile of base and crown and I don't like any of it, so I'm going to make this trim. See if you can see that profile in there. It's a beaded cove profile, so I'm going to run that and then probably step up just a hair and run another bull nose channel through here. gap with a nice little reveal into the molding that I made. Because this is solid wood and the rest of it's plywood, once this is painted, it'll have a different grain pattern than the rest. So everything's secured, which let me get this before I cover it all up, but it's all in there with French cleat system to hold it into place. This is the main frame that the actual fireplace insert goes into, and then also the top piece, the whole big shebang there, and what is the hearth is all held onto the wall with a French cleat. When it's all said and done, I'll only have 2 screws that'll hold this to the wall to take out this little bit of gap here. It'll push it up tight. And then that way, if we do decide to come in here one day and get a real fireplace put in, then I can take this all out without completely destroying my mantle. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little thin piece of underlayerment plywood like Luan and cover the face of this area so that it all has one seamless fluid look. Smooth feel. Okay, so I'm going to use my little pen nailer. This is probably one of the most versatile tools that I have. I love this thing. It leaves little headless pins in there that you can't see. Okay, so now the next step I want to make is I want to go ahead and start filling this area out because it looks like a lot of void blank space. And when my wife and I started, we wanted a look of somewhat raised panel, but I want to be able to pull that off without the work of actually having to do what I've done with the doors and make raised panels to go on here. So the idea I have is I'm going to cut out another piece of ply and use it somewhat like a plinth block and block out here and here, but my main piece of trim is going to come right across the middle here. Okay, so this is going to be our starting point from which I'm going to expand out. I went ahead and put the main piece of trim right down the middle. So it's a 1x2, and then cap molding, and then just a little piece of trim there. And I think sitting all together that it looks really nice. Okay, so now I've got it to the point where all my plinth blocks are on. I'm going to use this code molding to come around the edges and box them in. Now we've got all those faux plinth blocks on. Just cut the cove molding to look like a plinth block. Okay, so right here I had to build up a little bit so that I could lay another piece of thin Luan on the top to make the top of the mantle come flush with the edge of the crown. I laid out some stripping on the top here so I can take my top piece up because I want the very top of the mantle to sit flush with the top of the crown. Alright, so just took my Forstner bit and drilled two 2-inch holes in the top. So now That goes straight down to where the insert will be sitting, and there's plenty of room for this insert to pull air from. Alright, so I got the piece on the top flush with the top of the crown, and this is the final step. Now it's time to take it outside and go ahead and start priming it, and then getting ready to paint as well. Okay, so here we are with the first coats of primer on it, just to give a really good idea of what the whole thing looks like here. Turning out pretty good, but I still want to put a couple of coats of gloss paint on top of this. Next step is to hang the TV. Situation. We've got our TV mounted. The mantle's fairly well built. I have to leave a couple pieces of trim out because in order to take this back out and put the last finishing coats of paint on it, it's just pretty much primed now. I'll have to take a few of these pieces out. I've got my trim fitted here. I just need one last piece of trim to encase the insert itself. But we got the TV up, and of course, you know, we don't want all these wires everywhere. That just looks terrible. So I tried to make a bracket to hang the Xbox or the gaming console and the cable box underneath the TV, but with that amount of space left, it was pretty well pointless to have a shelf. So why not just leave it set on top of the mantle with the distance between the top of the Kinect and the bottom of the TV? I mean, we've got like 4 inches there. So my answer to that, what I did was go ahead and take a piece of plywood, cut it 4 inches across. I tried to use similar cove molding off to the side, put those 2 pieces of trim just to make it look nice, but I want to kind of camouflage this. So I've taken my router and cut essentially a dado in the back to have a place for those channel for the cords to run through. So that's what you've got. And then I've keyholed the back of it and corresponded those keyholes on the wall with the screw heads. So basically what you'll have is this stuff sitting here. The cords will come behind and be channeled up and spit out behind the TV where you can't see the wires dangling everywhere. So I don't know if I was ever able to get a really good shot of this French cleat system, so that's essentially what everything is held on with, so that these pieces can just lift up and move out of the way. how we've gone from Christmas to Mardi Gras. Everything's decorated. There's the hide on the wires. All I have left to do now is to just put the last few pieces of trim, and it's all done. So like I said, I want to go ahead and fill little pinholes. I know those pinholes probably won't show up on camera, but I'm going to show you the way I like to do it. So I just use a little bit of painter's caulk, and to me that's a little more fluid than spackle, so a little easier to work with. Just come over the little pinhole with the painter's caulk, and then you take a damp rag and wipe it flush, and then with spackle you'd have to come back and sand that, but now that little void is covered and there's no sanding involved. To me that's a lot easier way to do this. Alright, so here we are with the final finished product. Everything's been put together, all the little pinholes have been patched. This is it. So hopefully this was informative and helped somebody out there that's working on a project similar to this. This project could easily be turned into an entertainment center. I had somebody ask me about that the other day while I was making this video. They wanted to build an entertainment center similar without hanging the TV on the wall and replacing the fireplace insert with the TV. You probably want to step up a little bit with that, but the same basic concepts apply. Pretty much 90% of this build is done from plywood, so it's not something unreachable. It's not something you can't do. If you have the proper tools, it's easy to start and finish. The only thing that is solid wood really on this build is the frames for the doors on either side that I had made because I wanted to do a raised panel style look for everything. But all the plinth blocks, everything is made completely out of plywood and trim. So hopefully that was helpful to somebody out there. Give this video a like and a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We will have more videos coming in the near future. We'll try to do some simplistic projects and some of these larger projects that do take a while. They take a while to film, they take a while to build, they take a while to edit. So you'll have to bear with me on the space between those. As of right now, I will not have a regular upload date. Hopefully in the future I can build one and have a lot of projects for you guys to look forward to. I'm in the process also now of constructing the website to link to all of these social media outlets as well as YouTube, and you can get in touch with me there. Right now my website is available. It's dimensionswoodworks.com. You can leave me an email there and I'll get back to you if you have any questions on this or any of the other videos. Other than that, you can leave a comment in the comment section below, and you guys have a great day.